Hey Thumpers, welcome back to another episode of Hyper Heroes here on Hyper RPG. It has been a crazy shitstorm of a week. There has been so much news that's come out in the last 3 days. I was a little surprised because I kind of was under the impression that nothing was really going to happen because Monday was kind of like the weekend and everything from like last week. It was kind of a slow week and I thought maybe nothing's going to happen. Boy, was I fucking wrong. I'm an idiot. I'm so wrong. How you guys doing, by the way?
Entertainment news. Capital of the world, Hyper RPG is going to bring you all the hits. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Capital of the world, good.
Good.
I'm not doing as good as you, Hector. You got the soju.
I'm super tired, but this is my goddamn highlight of my day. Cheers to you, gentlemen. My best friends. Some soju.
Best of times right now. We obviously went to go see Inhumans. We reviewed that. That's right now playing on the channel. You can go check it out.
I didn't, and my life is so much better than your guys' life.
So
what was it like for you
better
to be playing video games and listening to what we were saying? Were you listening to us, or were you just checked out playing games?
If you watch the video, when you guys comment about getting her hair cut off, I turn to the camera and I go,
yeah,
that was rough. But if you want to check it out, make sure you guys check it out on the channel. Leave a comment at the bottom of the video and let us know if you saw it. What did you think? Are you hopeful about the future?
Is it going to be on TV this weekend?
It starts on September 29th.
Okay, end of the month. All right.
So there's some time before it premieres.
Sure.
There's been a lot of stuff about that, and obviously there's been some big things happening in the world of Star Wars, in the DC universe. So let's just jump right in.
Let's get into it. Topic number one.
Topic number one. Gavin O'Connor, the director of Warrior, Miracle, The Accountant, is going to helm, and he's going to direct and write Suicide Squad 2. Now, he was one of a whole list of directors that were on this potential list of choices, including Mel Gibson. I don't know how to pronounce Jaime Collet-Serra. He's now directing the what's that ride at Disneyland?
Jungle Cruise
with The Rock. Yeah, he's doing that
You even
instead.
wrote that right there, Adam.
I know.
Jeez,
I can't wait.
It's very French, okay?
I honestly cannot wait for Jungle Cruise. But yeah, Mel Gibson was like a off the wall choice to do a superhero.
And very much in discussions to do it.
And so Gavin O'Connor has been hired to write it and is in talks to direct.
Yeah, which more than likely, if the deal works out, he will most likely direct it. I think most of the time when these writer-director sort of combos come about, they usually try to lock in the deal because it's kind of I feel like it's kind of a better deal for them because they feel like the director hopefully will have a really good grasp on the material because they're the ones who are actually producing it. But how do you guys feel about it? I mean, have you guys seen The Accountant?
I did see The Accountant.
I did too. Surprisingly, I liked it.
The Accountant, let me say this.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. The Accountant is a good time because at one point, halfway through the movie, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but about halfway through, there's a flashback where I was like, I'm sorry, what the
exactly.
I'm like, what are they doing?
Does this just turn into a comic book?
And I just went, this is nuts. And I had a good time with it. I had a good time with it. Definitely well directed.
Yeah.
Definitely good performances out of its cast. And I think Gavin O'Connor is a good director. And part of being a good director is getting good performances out of your actors.
And it should be said that The Accountant stars Ben Affleck, who's obviously playing Batman.
Ben Affleck got him that job.
And J.K. Simmons, who's playing Commissioner Gordon in the DC Extended Universe as well.
You think Ben Affleck got him the Suicide Squad?
Oh, come on. Hector, you know this. You know how the industry works.
Of course.
You know people.
I think when they went into it. Yeah, well, I think if they went into it and they were trying to find people, I'm sure they're going to go to people like Ben Affleck, who's an Oscar Academy Award-winning director at Warner Brothers.
He's the golden boy over there.
Exactly. So I'm sure they're going to be like, well, how was your experience with Gavin O'Connor? Plus, The Accountant actually did well for Warner Brothers.
Sure. I'm sure for what it cost. Sure. It was a very it was a very standard sort of, I call it like a dad movie. It's like an action thriller that is not like by the numbers, but like easy to understandable, like pretty clear cut. This character who Ben Affleck played, he's on the autism spectrum. That was a sort of like new angle of this action movie thing. And there was some really interesting. I mean, J.K. Simmons was in it.
Yeah. John Bernthal.
John Bernthal. There was some really interesting stuff in it.
Obviously.
And my, you know what? My dad, speaking of dad movies, he legit loves that movie. And he told me he was like, I'm gonna buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray. Like that's how much my dad
immediately after it came out.
Well, I didn't see it in theaters, and Warner Brothers sent me the Blu-ray, so I popped the Bluray in one night. And I was like, this is probably gonna be so bad. and I'm watching. I'm going, okay, little bit of a slow start, but then I got intrigued by the character that he plays, this autistic character,
and a great trailer for that movie.
A great trailer, yeah. And then I started going through the movie, and it just progressed, and I was really kind of sucked into it. And I've liked Gavin O'Connor's previous movies. He did Jane Got a Gun, which I didn't see, but I heard it actually was not that good of a movie. It came out a couple years ago. It was with Natalie Portman, but I really like Warrior with Tom Hardy, Nick Nolte, and Joel Edgerton. And I love Miracle with Kurt Russell. Two movies. They're both of those are sports movies, but I love them so much. So I feel like because of his relationship with Warner Brothers and having a successful movie like The Accountant, they're already making a sequel to it. It should be out, I think, in 2 years.
The Accountant?
Yeah, The Accountant's going to get a sequel.
Okay.
Which obviously maybe could be delayed because they are doing a Suicide Squad 2.
Sure.
But
according to your notes here, I think this is interesting.
Yes.
It is a top priority project at Warner Brothers, according to the news reports, the speculation, the rumors, whatever.
Yeah, from Variety.
Filming could start next year. You're going to have the cast returning. And as far as like Gavin O'Connor in relation to do Suicide Squad, I think it makes sense. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. Like, I'm sure he's going to do a really good job.
Yeah.
Zach Penn wrote a previous draft of the script. I am intrigued that Gavin O'Connor is being brought in to rewrite or to do a new draft. I think that that's good. I think that Suicide Squad as a brand and a property could absolutely be awesome.
Oh, yeah,
and I think that, however I felt about the first movie, another movie could be better than that. You know what I mean? Another movie with that cast, with that concept, could absolutely be.
Well, I think if you watch The Accountant, and you see that movie unravel, you're like, and you pay attention to it, you could actually then, connect the dots and say, yeah, I could see Gavin O'Connor make this movie.
So it's not something it's not my favorite like movie franchise, superhero comic book thing, but I love a lot of the characters.
I like
and
that
the
it's
cast.
different.
I like that it's different, and I feel like, it's cool that this is a priority project for Warner Brothers, but it's not something that I'm like foaming at the mouth for. But I'm like,
because we've already had one.
Sure, I'm like, right. That's probably what it is. And you know me, it's always about where's my Booster Golds, where's my Martian
Where's
Manhunter,
my Plastic Man,
where's my Plastic Man? I'm an idiot.
My Hawkman.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a good match. So I'm definitely
I'm a fan of people coming out of left field and directing stuff. I like to give other people an opportunity. I was not a huge fan of the first Suicide Squad, and I think that changing the main director of this is going to be good for the franchise, and hopefully I'll like this movie a little bit more. A left field hitter that I thought did amazing was John Watt with Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
He killed it. So if Gavin O'Connor can come in and change things up, and who knows, like write his own version of Suicide Squad that still has that edginess, but can be a cohesive movie that I can get along with. Like I'm cool. Like I want to see good stuff coming out of the Suicide Squad, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I also hope it's a lesson learned for the studio, because we heard about Suicide Squad, the first one, how David Ayer sort of had a vision for it, and then they kind of went in and tinkered with it and changed it up, made it the Suicide Squad movie, not necessarily the one that he had made, because I mean, if you look at his other movies, like End of Watch in particular, that's very much a gritty, like street level cop drama.
And has that movie Bright come out yet? The one that's
the Netflix one, not yet.
The L.A.
It comes out next month.
Oh,
like
the one
Will
with Will Smith
with an orc
fighting aliens
and So that'll be interesting to watch that, to be like, okay, was it more studio interference for other movies of his that haven't quite hit, or is it?
And there's rumors that he may or may not be doing the Gotham City Sirens movie. So I don't know, but I think you're right. I think it's cool to see these directors who haven't necessarily tackled this scale of a movie, but have done other movies.
Yeah, exactly.
And most of them actually being really successful.
Right.
And then seeing what they can do with a comic book property. Yeah, so that excites me.
Like John Watt killed it. I know it is coming out. You're gonna go watch it tonight, but go watch Clown. He did a movie on clowns.
That's right.
You should watch the movie Clown,
and
because
Cop
he
Car,
does and Cop Car. But the movie Clown did some really cool shit.
That
John
very
Watt
intriguing concept.
Yeah,
I know we talk about a lot. It's a really intriguing concept.
Well, I'll drink to that, gentlemen.
Speaking of the directors, though, we're gonna stay on the director's train. Drew Goddard is going to write and direct the X-Force movie. So the X-Force movie, for those of you who don't know, it's basically going to unite Deadpool and Cable, and they are going to lead sort of this band
X-Men team.
This X-Men team, these dirty mutants,
the Fox
more or less.
Avengers.
I guess they kind of could be considered that, because we already have X-Men, which are like X-Men.
Just to clarify, Adam just said dirty mutants. He didn't mean that in a derogatory
dirty
mutants. He didn't mean it in a racist way against mutants. He meant that they are they get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
That this group of X-Men characters kill people.
No.
Yeah.
And so this is probably going to be rated R. This is probably going to be a combination of the success and tone of Deadpool mixed with the seriousness and rated R adult content matter and violence of Logan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Deadpool, like uniting the violence and kind of real grittiness of Logan with the kind of outlandish, kind of bizarre comedy that Deadpool has.
And it might be a bit of an equation that's at Fox where they're like, okay, we made Deadpool for X number of dollars and it made X number of dollars. Our team ensemble, X number of dollars. Our team ensemble superhero X-Men movies themselves have all of these different characters and they cost this much money and they make this much money. Put your hands together and let's do a team ensemble X-Men film, but is in the world of Deadpool, and he's like the front of it. He's like it's
their Wolverine.
He's their Wolverine. He's the face. He's their Captain America. He's and that seems like that's an equation that's going to make a big X amount of dollars.
That X
big old X. X is going to give it to you.
X is going to be real big.
Yeah.
So that being said, X-Force, the team members changed throughout time. Obviously, it's not a set team. Who do you guys want to see?
Well, I know for sure. I feel like for sure, along with Deadpool, you're going to get Cable and then probably Domino.
Yeah.
I bet you Deadpool 2 is setting up.
I'm sure they wouldn't do this. I'm sure they wouldn't do X-Force if they couldn't have Cable.
Of course.
What's
of course.
the point?
Right.
I also think that there in the new, you see, when I saw news of this, they're using images from a more recent run of comics, which is called Uncanny X-Force, and in that you had Psylocke.
Right.
So I'm like,
Wolverine.
maybe we might get Olivia Munn. We had Wolverine.
Yep.
I don't think Wolverine's going to be a part of it.
Absolutely not.
I think he's done. And they're not going to recast. And they're not going to. We also
Psylocke
had.
would be interesting though because Olivia Munn played her in the 1983 version.
Sure.
So
wait, not literally 83,
who cares?
but
the movie took place in 1983.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Then again, Deadpool doesn't really establish when it takes place.
It breaks the fourth wall. I think it's implied that it's current day, and a lot of people take it as that. But I also think that they could very easily look, man. When they made an X-Men Origins Wolverine movie, they introduced Gambit, and that movie took place in the 80s. Do you think that if that movie had been a hit? And everybody loved Taylor Kitsch's Gambit, that they wouldn't have put him in an X-Men
I'm sure they would have.
in the present day. You know what I mean? It's like, Gambit, how do you look the same way? That's my mutant
I'm
ability.
I'm a fucking mutant, bro.
They could do that stuff. And even the recent X-Men movies have Magneto aging. Michael Fassbender goes 10 years between movies.
Right, and they all look the same.
And he looks the same. And, he's how old is Magneto supposed to be in 1983? How old is he if he's like...
I don't know.
Do you know what I'm saying? If he's
from World War II?
If he's like 30... In 1963, he should be 50.
Right.
In 1983, dude does not look 50.
No,
they're not treating him as he's 50. He had a wife and kid. They die, and then he's back on the X-Men.
Right.
So
Ian McKellen's like 105 by the time he plays.
So I just have a feeling that they've got Olivia Munn in the mix. She's already playing Psylocke. I think that they might just use this as an excuse to bring that character back and just bring her in the present
We don't
day.
know if she's even going to be in the Dark Phoenix movie.
Correct. The other characters we saw were Archangel, Warren Worthington III. Now, there's been two versions of Angel in the X-Men movies.
Right.
You
Ben
had Ben Foster, and you had the other guy from X-Men Apocalypse.
I forget what the actor's name was.
Are they going to bring that guy in?
I think the bigger question is at this point,
Yeah.
What do we do if Deadpool 2 isn't that big of a success? Do you guys think they're putting too many eggs in one basket at this point?
No,
or do you think Deadpool is guaranteed to win no matter what?
Well, kind of.
I think financially, yes. It could have a big drop-off if it's not good, but I think it will most likely
make its money back.
Make its money and sustain. Because I look at Atomic Blonde. Atomic Blonde was a movie that didn't necessarily get...
all the money in the world.
It didn't get all the money in the world, and it didn't necessarily get the best reviews. But I think it's also because a lot of people went into it thinking they were going to see a John Wick, a female John Wick movie.
Right.
And that's not what that was. It's a lot more about building character and scenario. So I think that's what kind of led people to the disappointment of that movie, which is why maybe it got a lower rating. With Deadpool, I think people are going into it, cool, we have the John Wick director who knows how to direct the action, but I think on top of that, we're going to also get a continuation of the flavor of what happened in the first movie.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think Deadpool is in a different situation because it's already established its world. Tim Miller helped establish that with Ryan Reynolds. And this is kind of just like the next part of that. So if they kind of stick to similar things that the first movie did in terms of its tone, the way it uses humor and action and elevates it to the next level, then I would be very surprised if it wasn't as good as the first one.
Here's the thing. Let's say, hypothetically, with Augustine's worst-case scenario, that Deadpool 2 is like bad, and it doesn't make enough money. I think that despite that, the next logical step is X-Force.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Fox should like freak out and pivot. I don't think they should like abandon this concept and this idea because Josh Brolin is Cable. It's like, again, we haven't seen any trailer, any footage, anything from Deadpool 2, but that's a great cast.
Right.
So good.
Who plays Domino again? Zazie Beetz.
Zazie Beetz.
I think that it is the next. It makes sense as the next logical step, and it's the same as where like remember Marvel Studios in 2008 released Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
And they put a Tony Stark cameo in Hulk. Yeah. And before those movies came out, they were kind of like, we kind of have a plan for where we're going to go. It wasn't until those two movies came out that they were like, great. We're doing the Avengers. We're going full bore. But first things first, Iron Man 2. They weren't crazy to just go right to the kooky stuff. So it's like 2 years later, we get Iron Man 2 in 2010. The very year after that, Thor and Captain America to set up for the very year after that, Avengers. And at that point, even if Thor and Captain America, and I will argue that they were not as good movies as the first Iron Man, there's no going back. They reached a point of no return, and I feel like committing to doing X-Force is the point of no return. Forget however Deadpool 2 does. It makes sense to go in that direction with the X-Men universe.
I like that way of thinking because it shows that they have faith in their property and they have a clear plan as to where they're going.
The trick is going to be to get the right talent. If Deadpool 2 is bad, then something happened between 1 and 2 where it's like talent-wise, what was the difference? Let's fix that.
Director or writer? What is
right?
It?
Yeah.
With the fact that they're bringing in Drew Goddard, so far I like his track record mostly. Daredevil season 1, The Martian, Sinister Six that never happened. But
he was supposed to. He wrote The Martian for himself to direct.
Yeah.
And then Ridley Scott came in and he was like, nah, you're more experienced than you do.
Sure.
Oh, wow.
He also did Cabin in the Woods. He directed that, which he wrote with Joss Whedon.
I like that movie.
And was he like a writer on Cloverfield, or was he involved in one of those? I feel like he came from the sort of J.J. Abrams / Joss Whedon school of like,
probably.
Like with Matt Reeves.
That's
like
good company
Matt Reeves and Drew Goddard, all these dudes that are like nerdy guys that came off and did a bunch of stuff.
Well, plus I think the other thing too is like, I think in terms of, because I think maybe a lot of people are going to be watching this, they're going to be saying, well, why are you okay with them going just 1, 2, and then a third movie being this big team-up movie instead of building it up like Marvel or DC is trying to do? I'm like, well, it's different because these characters are really unknown characters.
Exactly.
In terms of how many people in the general audience know who they are, nobody knows who Cable is. Nobody knows who Domino is. People didn't really know who Deadpool was until the movie came out last year.
And no offense to the rest of the X-Force, but they are not characters like Psylocke or Archangel are not characters that
they're
typically...
not the equivalents of like Black Widow and the Hulk.
They're not. Hector. They normally don't have series themselves. There's no Psylocke comic book that has been a mainstay at Marvel where it's like she keeps getting.
I mean, the Avengers and the Justice League are like.
They're comprised of all-stars.
Yeah.
So the Avengers is different. The Justice League is different. These characters could not only sustain their own movies, but their own franchises. And so they do. But the X-Men are different because they are that family unit. It's like the Fantastic Four.
The team,
it's like the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
X-Force
they're like the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Is Deadpool joining the Guardians of the Galaxy. Or how in the comic books, Iron Man joined the Guardians of the Galaxy for a hot minute. So it's like, okay, there was an Iron Man movie, a Guardians movie. You know, that would be how they.
I think the ultimate would be is if in a few years they ended up pairing up the X-Men from X-Men New Mutants or X-Men Dark Phoenix and the X-Force and doing like some big event movie that
you could do
all of those universes.
X-Men versus X-Force. They could literally come out with that, and people
could fight
depending on how big X-Force gets.
You totally
could freak out at that.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Shit.
And if you can find a way, like I don't know about Josh Boone's New Mutants. I don't know when that takes place. If that even matters. But yeah, you could literally interconnect all three of these universes. And if it does really well, they're just going to keep making them and making them.
I really hope this is a turning point for Fox and their franchises because as far as a First Class and what was Days of Future Past go, those were great. I'll give those a pass. Deadpool was great. I'm hoping that they do a 360, like when Disney did that 360 with their animation company. They were putting out crap movies for a while, and then suddenly they get John Lasseter in there. He's like, "All right, do this. We're
redoing this.
Boom, done." They start pumping out great movies.
He's like, "What are you working on? Meet the Robinsons? Wait, let me help you with that."
Let me help you with
it was
this.
like better.
Meet the Robinsons, amazing movie.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, John Lasseter. I'll drink to that. Okay.
Drink to that. Yeah, well, drink to this bad news. Or maybe it's not bad news. It really depends on who you ask on the internet.
Yeah.
Colin Trevorrow has exited Star Wars Episode 9. Lucasfilm and Colin Trevorrow released a joint statement talking about the reasoning for why they were parting ways. And you can get this from StarWars.com. The article says, Lucasfilm and Colin Trevorrow have mutually chosen to part ways on Star Wars Episode 9. Colin has been a wonderful collaborator throughout the development process, but we have all come to the conclusion that our visions for the project differ. We wish Colin the best, and we'll be sharing more information about the film soon.
That is cold.
So
that is cold.
You would think so, but go back and read their statement about Lord and Miller. It's colder.
Sure, it is.
It really?
It's icy cold.
It is, but maybe they saw the fallout of that, and they were like,
Sure.
"We got to be a little bit more warmer with this thing," because the first thing I'm looking at is that mutually chosen to part ways.
Yeah.
Hell no.
You get you see Star Wars as a kid, and it blows your brain out of the back of your head. You decide to devote your life to filmmaking. You end up getting the chance to work on a Star Wars movie. You're not going to look at that and go, you know what? This isn't my jam, and walk away. Like you're not going to go, this isn't my tempo. Nah, I really want to make.
Are you sure though?
Yeah, man.
I mean,
dude.
I'm like,
Here's
fucking Star Wars.
Of course, it's Star Wars, and it is one of the, if not the most influential franchises in cinematic history. But I also feel like you also have to look at your own career when you get into that room. I mean, Rian Johnson's talked about it. He had multiple meetings with Kathleen Kennedy, and she asked him like, "Do you want the job?" And he says, "I got to think about it."
Sure.
And he took time to think about it.
J.J. Abrams too.
Yeah, and it's like, yes, I want to do it because it's Star Wars. It's one of the most influential things in my life. If I fuck it up, I will not hear the end of it for the rest of my career. My career may end. Now, a lot of people were also talking about, and some reports came out that, you know, Kathleen Kennedy and Colin Trevorrow may have been having sort of issues as to how to rework the script. We reported, I think we were talking about like 2 weeks ago, that they brought in Jack Thorne, a writer who's doing some Harry Potter movies, to come in and sort of rewrite what Colin Trevorrow and Derek Connolly, his writing partner, were doing. Not only that, his movie, The Book of Henry, that came out over the summer, tanked. Tanked.
Yeah.
I think it worldwide only, and granted, it had a very limited release. It only debuted in a certain amount of theaters, but it made between domestically and in the UK, it made, I think, like $5 million.
Oh my God.
So, but again, it had a very limited release, but it did not do well.
Okay, so it's one of two things. It's number one, like you were saying, Adam, it's good news, bad news, depending on who you ask. Okay,
Right.
but for as far as the split, it's one of two things. It's either Colin Trevorrow's like work all of a sudden caught up with him, or Lucasfilm then realized, wait a minute, Jurassic World wasn't as critically well received as we had hoped, despite how much money it made. And his first movie, Safety Not Guaranteed, is good. It's a great, like, you know, first movie for a first-time filmmaker. But Book of Henry again tanked. So maybe they were looking at that and they're like, ooh, maybe we don't want to give this to this director. Second thing is, the current work he was doing on Episode 9 was giving them pause, going, wait. Currently, what you're working on right now, we don't like where this is going, blah, blah. So it's one of those two things. It could be bad news. First of all, it could be good news if you're not a fan of Colin Trevorrow. If you have seen his films.
And there's been a lot of people who are happy about it because of that reason. Because they say, how do you go from doing a no-name indie movie to a gigantic blockbuster like Jurassic World to then getting a Star Wars movie?
Anytime people discuss the concept of failing upward or failing sideways or the sort of advantages that certain types of directors, white males, get in Hollywood versus other types of directors, and the visibility and all that stuff. Unfortunately, Colin Trevorrow, and I do mean unfortunately because like I thought that the directing on Jurassic World was fine, and I've talked about how it's like that was a rushed script and that he had been taking his time on Episode 9, and I heard some things about Episode 9, and I was like, well, I think that's going to be cool, and I want to give the guy a shot. You're not rooting against anybody in this town. You're not rooting for people's like careers and livelihoods to fail.
Absolutely not.
But at the same time, I think that anytime, unfortunately, people had that kind of conversation, they'd point to Colin Trevorrow and be like, "This is the guy who was given the biggest movies ever."
Of all three of them, he's definitely the most
J.J.
underqualified.
Abrams, you know, Rian Johnson, and then Colin Trevorrow. So for a lot of people, this was like happy day, and it's like it's a bummer because if it's good news for you because you're not a fan of his work, fine. It could also be good news because it just could mean that maybe the work that was currently being done or his sort of directing career are both giving Lucasfilm pause, which, you know, again, could be good news because they want to make a good movie, obviously. Nobody's trying to make a bad movie.
End of the third trilogy.
Here's why this could also be bad news. We just lost Lord and Miller on They just got fired.
Star Wars is a community thing, Hector.
From Han Solo, you know? And it's a thing of like that coupled with Colin Trevorrow is a scary thing where it might give fans pause. It might make them think, okay, maybe Lucasfilm doesn't exactly know exactly what they want to do. Maybe they don't have that plan laid out. Unfortunately, you look at stuff like if a director walks away or doesn't end up working out with Marvel Studios, it's always a bummer. Edgar Wright on Ant-Man, it's always a bummer. But
on Thor,
at this point, I think with their track record, I think that in the same way you can trust Kathleen Kennedy with an expert track record, you can look at the Marvel movies and be like, oh, Kevin Feige, like that production side of it at least has that vision. Sure. And when there's a split, you at least know it's like, okay, Marvel has a specific thing they want to do. Right. And maybe people are worried that might not be happening with We've got 2 movies out so far. Yeah. Out of their planned movies. But you can trust Kathleen Kennedy, but...
Right. Well, people.
Who knows?
I mean, as soon as this news broke, people were saying, "Oh, it looks like Lucasfilm is suffering from the same sickness that DC is suffering from, with the continually are losing directors."
I don't think.
And like sort of my rebound to that is, a lot of people were going back and talking about Force Awakens. Michael Arndt was one of the writers of Episode 7. The script then changed hands and it went to Lawrence Kasdan and J.J. Abrams. To me, that's not really the biggest deal in the world, because I feel like we talked about with this script in particular,
that's how movies are made.
That's how it kind of works. I think it really. Once you get into sort of the details of how it happened, if it was sort of this, if it didn't happen on the best of terms, then that's a different story. But then we had Josh Trank was removed from the Untitled Star Wars story that he was going to do, which kind of was based on sort of what had happened with Fantastic Four. So they didn't really lose that director. They chose to take the safe route and say, we're not going to work with you now. Do whatever you got to do. With Rogue One, we had the same thing with Tony Gilroy when he came in to help them kind of shepherd Rogue One and take it home. We don't know to what extent he was working on it. And with Lord and Miller, there's been a lot of things sort of back and forth of like how Lord and Miller were not really going by the script, or their visions just clashed in the beginning and all this kind of stuff. So it's really hard, and this is part of the thing that I think we've talked about, and I know I've talked about multiple times, is this is the problem with announcing your movie so far ahead, and before you sit down, and you actually have a meeting with these directors.
So early.
And figuring out what's the vision of this going forward. Are we going to sit in this room for 3 hours, have a meeting, and at the end of it, we're going to go, yeah, that's exactly the movie that we want to make.
And then 8 months later, it may not be the movie.
You're halfway through shooting, and it's like, oh, we got to get Ron Howard to come in and pick up the pieces.
It's tough for me to comment on this because I'm torn. I love... Kathleen Kennedy had no say over Star Wars Clone Wars. Or Gendy's Clone Wars, or Star Wars Rebels, and those had some amazing Star Wars moments. Then again, you go to The Force Awakens, and all this newer stuff that's coming out. She's kind of like the final say. Yeah. So I'm torn between the very artistic aspect of having new directors come in, let them do their thing. Don't worry about it because the product will be good to the extent that I've seen so far. But then you also have Kathleen Kennedy, who's making sure that the brand sticks to the brand and the universe sticks to the universe. So I'm very torn as to trying to figure out what exactly is going on and whether this is a good move for the Star Wars universe as it advances. I like the fact that it's staying very consistent to the image that they want to put out, which is good because that's the Star Wars we love. But I also want new people to come in and infuse new ideas.
At what cost, right? Are you protecting the brand?
At what are you stifling it from us seeing really cool shit that we've never seen before?
Making safe swings with these Han Solo prequels and
Right. We don't want to see Han Solo prequels. We want to see new characters. We've been saying this for years. This is a whole giant universe, and I want to see the whole universe explored. Maybe there's cooler things out there than lightsabers. Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it.
Don't bullshit. Don't bullshit.
But there's other things that we can explore in this.
How about this? Double lightsaber.
Double lightsabers.
Oh boy.
How about lightsaber here, and then two on your feet?
It's funny that you bring that up though, because if it wasn't for a movie like Rogue One, I probably wouldn't have cared about. I liked Rebel soldiers and I liked all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if they didn't have a lightsaber, I wasn't as intrigued by them. But because of Rogue One, because of how solid it mostly was, I would watch another movie like that in that universe,
even though it doesn't have a lightsaber in it.
Well, it's got a red one.
Well,
right at the end.
Spoiler alert!
Rad moment.
But that's where I'm torn. That's the artist in me fighting with the very practical side of Hollywood, where I'm like, of course they're playing. Of course, Kathleen Kennedy is doing stuff like this because if somebody strays from the brand, you got to cut it off. You can't have people stray from the original goal. you can't go against the mouse. Have you seen that South Park episode where the Jonas Brothers get owned by Disney?
That's right.
And then Mickey Mouse is coming in and he like beats the shit out of them.
Yeah.
That's what Mickey Mouse is gonna do to you if you stray from the Star Wars brand. He's gonna lightsaber right up your culo.
I would just love to know, to like have a conversation with Colin Trevorrow and be like, "What was it, dude?
Yeah.
What was your idea?
Yeah.
What was your plan?
Yeah,
what was
exactly.
It
but we're never gonna know.
We're never gonna know
unless you're like at his house for brunch on
no,
like a Saturday morning.
Exactly, or which will never happen. Or you get an interview with him 20 years from now.
Right.
Well, they'll be like, remember all the way back in 2000.
When you were doing episode 9, what was your movie?
Yeah.
And he'll be like, oh, well, my plan was to do this, and as we all know, this is what they ended up doing with Luke.
Yeah.
And then you read that and go, oh, that.
Or you're
cool.
gonna be like, ooh, I didn't do that.
That's a stinky.
Yeah.
It's tough too, because I mean, with Rian Johnson, he's talked about, because with J.J. Abrams, I think a lot of people, they talk about how The Force Awakens was kind of a safe movie. And I think it really had a tough job. They had to bring in fans of the 70s, fans of the prequels, fans of Clone Wars, and they had to really bring in new audiences too, so they had to give them those things. But Rian Johnson has talked about endlessly how he really had creative freedom to take what JJ sort of established and run with it.
Cool.
Right.
And do what he wanted to do.
That's my point. It's like, where's the line? I don't see the line. Yeah. And unfortunately, we probably won't ever see it because Star Wars is on this track that we're never going to know about. Yeah. And hopefully it's not stifling anything that's coming really cool in the future.
Do you guys have any picks for who you would like to see come in? So I think it's either going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be someone very, very close to the Lucasfilm family, who they've worked with before plenty of times.
Okay.
Or it's going to be someone who's outside of the family, but is still very established.
Maybe in the Disney family? I got two picks. Guess them.
Ryan Coogler being
one. Black Panther, baby.
Coog, get on
the
there, Coog.
What about Creed 2, man?
Listen, Creed 2 can wait. Can you imagine the director of Creed doing episode 9?
That'd be dope.
I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that'd be the coolest shit. There would be rap in Star Wars finally. Dude.
Like, the cantina scene would be lit.
The cantina scene would be so dope.
A bad guy would come out and just be like,
exactly. Run the Jewels would be playing at the cantina now. That would be so cool.
Oh, they probably would do some track for it.
Yeah, dude.
Some British hip hop. You know who my second pick would be? In the Disney family.
Ava DuVernay.
Yeah, Ava.
Good choice.
Make it an Ava movie because I'm obviously a fan of her movie Selma and her documentary 13.
She was approached for episode 7 at one point.
But bro, just the trailer for Wrinkle in Time looks gorge.
Amazing.
I haven't seen the movie, but just like that visual style, I was like, whoa, it's such a departure from her previous work, but still, she still seems super passionate about it. So I'm like,
I think her and Ryan Coogler are a pair of directors who are kind of on this path in their career where they have slowly taken on bigger and bigger bigger and bigger movies. They've naturally progressed into these bigger movies. Wrinkle in Time is the biggest so far. I would imagine it's the biggest movie she's done.
Yes.
Black Panther has to be the biggest movie that Ryan Coogler's done.
And after those two movies, which they're editing right now, like in the same studio, like next door to one another, they could do whatever they want after those movies. You know, they could go do any sort of passion project, any indie film, anything that they want. And then after that, they could probably come back to franchise world and do another from anything that they wanted to do. And then just kind of bounce back and forth. I bet they could have that career path, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it probably would line up because those movies are going to be ending their post-production phase probably around. This movie is kind of slated to go into production in January. Black Panther has to be done because it comes out in February. Wrinkle in Time, I think, comes out in March. So those movies are pretty much going to be wrapped up. So I think I think those two choices are possible. I've seen a lot of names thrown out there where I'm like, this is just not possible because these directors are working on other movies already. If I were to go with a safe bet,
JJ,
I would go with Ryan. No, I'd go with Rian Johnson.
Yeah, just keep it going.
I would just keep it going because if he already established, if he took the story and he ran with it, I'm sure he kind of has an idea because him and Colin Trevorrow had been working on sort of what the next step of that story is going to be. So I think that's the most natural way of progressing the story. It kind of goes against what they've been trying to do, whereas they have a new director for every other movie, for every movie. But yeah, if it's not Rian Johnson, I don't necessarily want J.J. Abrams to come back. I would love Ava DuVernay to come in, or Michelle McLaren. It'd be great to come in too. There's quite a few picks, but like those are definitely up there for me. And timing wise, they kind of work out.
You guys know who my pick's gonna be?
Dave Filoni?
Glurmer der Turmer.
Guillermo
del Toro.
Yeah.
The Shape of the Water.
Straight out of left field. Well, not really, but Genndy Tartakovsky.
Oh my God.
How dope would that be? How dope would that be?
Bro,
but he's never going to get it because he's so underrated.
That's a good left pick. I love that.
Gendy would be awesome.
Gendy would be dope.
They would give it to Dave Filoni before they gave it to Gendy.
Right, they would.
I mean, they would give it to the current showrunner of Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
Which is ending the season.
Yeah, before they gave it to the guy who did Star Wars once, 2D
Star
animated
Wars Clone Wars
15 years ago. Even though,
God, Gendy would be great.
Bring
Gendy
him
would
into
be so
storyboard
awesome.
some action. Bring him into direct some
Right,
action.
do
sequences.
something like assist or I mean, no, he shouldn't. Don't even disgrace him with the assist.
Give him a standalone though.
Yeah, give him something.
Yeah,
That's the thing, man. Like they need to bring back these guys like Gendy Tartakovsky and Dave Filoni. Give them some standalones to work on. Give them something live action to really chew on. But then also bring in all these other great new directors who have really built their career successfully. Like
okay, hear me out, Martin Scorsese. But instead of episode 9, it's a Jabba the Hutt origin film. Because haven't you always wanted to see?
Moving on to the next topic.
Alfred Hitchcock, guys, come on.
We're gonna resurrect him
You
from the
know
dead.
this.
Staying on the trend of everything Disney and Star Wars. So Bob Iger announced that Disney is going to be having their own subscription platform. It's going to launch in late 2019, and because of that, Star Wars and Marvel will be exiting Netflix starting in 2 years.
That's a bummer.
Which is a super bummer. So, like I said, it's going to launch in late 2019. It's going to launch with Star Wars and Marvel content on it. Most of the stuff that's going to be on there will be live action. So, obviously, all the Star Wars movies, most likely, the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. No word on what's going to happen with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and their ABC shows. Likewise with the Netflix stuff. I think probably there's some sort of exclusivity deal that prevents them from moving the Netflix stuff. I think that would be an absolutely terrible move to move the Netflix stuff to their subscription service. They're also going to be producing 4 to 5 exclusive films for the digital service, which will also mostly be live action. They are going to have an archive of over 500 films and over 7,000 episodes of television.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
I forgot.
That's a lot of Disney.
I forgot that Disney's been around for 100 years.
Yeah, it's been around since the beginning of time. Almost
20 movies a year.
Yeah, but so
a lot of movies.
What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that this is going to hurt the amount of output or the amount of eyes that their content will get, or do you think it'll be completely unchanged?
Because look, I'm going to be real with you guys. I know that everybody loves their digital streaming services, and I'm going to be real. The way how like video stores went away, an aspect of working in a video store when I worked at Blockbuster Video for years was like there was just like a Disney section. There was just parents that would come in and just be like, oh, whatever and grab shit,
whatever Disney movie,
like the Don Knotts movie, The Incredible Mr. Limpet, would get rented over and over. And do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Disney has a power.
You wear the hell out of those.
Disney has a power over us.
Yeah.
I'm not talking Star Wars or Marvel, but Disney.
I read such an interesting article about The Vault.
Yes.
And how they bring those movies back every 7
years.
years.
Oh, that is clearly
and
planned.
Like, damn.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it all started because of there not being VHSs available back then. It's so intriguing.
It's fascinating, and they're brilliant, and I'm honestly surprised it took this long.
Right.
Because if you told me that there was a service where The Incredible Mr. Limpert, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Mary Poppins, Peach Dragon,
the black and white Zorro.
That
show was dope.
Every animated Disney movie from Snow White to Zootopia to Moana, and every Marvel movie and TV show, just that power is. They're probably going to have. They're probably going to have the 1990s animated Disney shows like Goof Troop, Bonkers, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, DuckTales. Every episode
Mighty
of
Ducks.
Chippendales Rescue Rangers, Mighty Ducks, the couple seasons of that, coupled with Aladdin, the animated series, The Little Mermaid, the animated series, 101 Dalmatians had an animated series.
As long as they put Aladdin 3 up there, I'm good.
They'll have
Aladdin 3 was dope.
They'll have Aladdin and the 2 direct-to-video sequels, Aladdin Return of Jafar and Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Just so much content that, if you told me that there was a streaming service that parents, not movie fans, I'm talking desperate parents, could buy for $8 a month. And had all of that shit on there. Here, sit your dumb ass in front of that and shut up for 4 hours.
Putting it in that sort of context,
we're all gonna get it.
Parents, I'm sure parents, when it comes out and they find out, they're gonna be like, "Thank you, Lord Jesus."
Here's
right now you can only really get Disney Channel on regular cable. They have other versions. They have Disney XD and all that kind of stuff. But I think for parents, I think it's also kind of it's kind of the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again. You now have thousands and thousands and thousands of different titles that you can put on.
And not only that, you know that 99.9 of these movies are safe for kids to watch.
Yeah, because it's Disney.
Because it's Disney. So that brand is safe. So you just leave that on. We're going to have a whole generation of kids who's just all they know is Disney.
Right.
No commercials. They don't know about commercials. They don't know about Warner Brothers and Looney Tunes. All they know about is just
you're going through
Disney.
those Winnie the Pooh episodes like butter.
No big deal.
And there was a bunch of there was a puppet Winnie the Pooh. No, there was maybe
there was
a puppet Dumbo show for like
there
a
was
season.
Yeah,
remember that?
you remember sort of that live action Winnie the Pooh show that they had?
That's
kind of creepy.
Yeah,
but I remember that show being around. It's just
see that power that it has over us.
Yeah. It does. No, it does. I'm not going to order this because fuck that. Like, I'm not.
I got Netflix.
I feel like it's very arrogant of Disney to be like, oh, well, check this out. Now you don't get that. Now you have to pay for it. Bring it off.
Well,
of
I'm also
Netflix.
curious, like, how does it affect their deals with television too?
Exactly.
You know?
Like, are you going to have Winnie the Pooh and then the next episode is Jessica Jones episode 8 where she kills fucking or like where what's his name, Purple Man's being all rapey and shit.
Or even just on like regular television, you know, like if you go to FX or TNT. Like sometimes they have these Marvel movies.
Yeah.
How's that going to affect? Does that mean that they're going to be able to pull all those off of there, and it'll only live on their digital streaming service?
At that point, I think most people with the deals and how those kinds of deals work in entertainment. I think that for me, this personally makes no difference to me because every time a Marvel or Star Wars movie shows up on Netflix,
I buy it.
I'm already like, oh, I bought that 6 months ago and in 3D. Like, cool that everybody's now watching Rogue One, or cool, everybody's barely checking out Moana. I bought that on a 3D Blu-ray because I'm the nerd that still buys physical media.
The only way that this would be appealing to me if it was all of their titles.
Exactly.
And I'm not just talking about like the major movies. I'm a huge fan of the Disney Golden Collection and the Silver Collection.
They could do that.
All those like Donald Duck cartoons, his three nephews, all those Goofy shorts that they had back in the day, where like Goofy tries to set up a TV or like not even a TV, like he does instructional videos. Yeah, he does sports. Like all that stuff I grew up on, and I would love to see that kind of stuff again. But if they're gonna pull this Disney Vault bullshit, then I'm not gonna jump on this. Like if that episode is gonna only be available for like 3 weeks,
right? Yeah.
Nah, man, I'm not into that.
If their current model is to like put a movie in the Disney Vault and then in 5 years release it on 75th anniversary Blu-ray and then make it out of print and then 5 years after that for the 80th anniversary
they're creating
Blu-ray,
their own market.
That's gonna bleed into this streaming
I really
thing.
hope. Yeah, if they pull that, then it's absolutely no.
I will say though, I will say if they got those Disney Channel original movies on there, I will watch me some Johnny Tsunami. Goddammit, I will watch Phantom of the Megaplex again.
Xenon Girl from the 21st
I
Century.
missed that stuff. I don't know.
Too,
I don't know any of that stuff.
Oh really?
Oh, you missed it. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
I said I was just a general, maybe like a couple years too old for that stuff. So I don't know. My cousin apparently went to school with Johnny Tsunami.
Oh really?
Cool. So I'm like
Johnny Tsunami was dope.
I don't know who Johnny Tsunami is.
That's a dope movie.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they're also doing an ESPN version, and a lot of obviously Major League Baseball and the National Hockey League and a few other organizations are kind of like investing everything into Disney's apps. So we'll see. I mean, who knows? In 2 years, anything could happen. It could launch and be a complete dismal failure. I doubt it. It's Disney. It's
Disney. They have all the money in the world.
At this point, they could buy anything that they want.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff. But we're going to end it off talking about DC TV. I'm very intrigued by this. Hawk and Dove have been cast for DC's Titans. Alan Ritchson, if you don't know who Alan Ritchson is, he played Aquaman on Smallville. He plays Raphael in the Michael Bay.
That's right.
Anyway, he's going to be playing Hank Hall, a.k.a. Hawk. And Minka Kelly from Friday Night Lights and Jane the Virgin is going to be playing Dawn Granger, a.k.a. Dove. Now, this is kind of a different take on the characters. This is the 80s version as opposed to, I think, when did they come out? In the 1960s, I think?
Yeah,
as brothers,
and they were two brothers.
Hank and Dawn.
And when they appeared in Justice League Unlimited, they were two brothers voiced by Fred Savage and the actor who played Fred Savage's brother from Wonder Years. So like two brothers from Wonder Years played Hawk and Dove.
That's
playing
cool.
two comic book
in one
brothers.
episode of Justice League Unlimited, which if you haven't seen, again, Justice League was just like, oh, do you not know the DC universe?
Here you go.
Here's everything you need to know.
Here's every character gets their own episode, and it's fucking awesome.
And it's great. Yeah.
So that's
a
sort of classic version of Hawk and Dove, which is really fun. But there is a Hawk and Dove that is male, female, a couple.
Yeah. And it changed. I think it was Crisis on Infinite Earths. He died. Don Hall dies.
I think so.
I think
yeah,
so.
the male the male dove. And then they bring in a female. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember I was posting about it today, and some people were confused that because it describes them as a crime-fighting vigilante duo and romantic couple. Hawk and Dove are the perfect example of opposites attract. Hawk is an aggressive, offensive bruiser, while Dove is strategic, defensive, and is it lithe?
Lithe.
Lithe.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were confused. They're saying, but wait, there were two male characters. They're related. How does that work? And I
Yeah,
felt
so
like, oh,
what's crazy about that?
what is crazy about that?
Two males in a romantic relationship.
Well,
Never
the
heard of
brothers
it.
part was
Yeah, the brother. Yeah, that's
the. If it was brothers in a romantic relationship, then we still ain't go with that.
It's not Game of Thrones. It's it's Titans. So,
it's superheroes.
Yeah. But it's gonna be interesting. These are two recurring characters. Apparently, according to Deadline, they have the potential of sort of being brought back for the next season as season regulars. But they may also potentially spin off if it's very successful. But in terms of the Teen Titans in the comics, have they been kind of in and out with the Teen Titans?
I don't actually know. That's a good question.
I don't know. I honestly, as far as I know, there's no connection, and so I don't.
But there must be.
There must be somewhere.
Like in some version of the Titans, Hawk and Dove must have been.
I think it's in the '80s run, but I could be wrong.
You might be right. Like,
it could be,
but I don't think it's in anything before that. I don't think like anything from like their original run is that. And they were saying that in this show they're not going to be directly tied. Like they're not going to be a part of the Titans team.
Right.
They're going to be sort of like a side team. So I'm interested to see how these two characters sort of play into the story.
It'll be interesting to see how they play into the story. And honestly, I can't back this project yet because first of all, I haven't seen anything. Yeah. Second of all, there's no Cyborg and Beast Boy in it, so
not yet.
I know.
Yet.
Is that the last characters we're missing? Is like a Beast Boy?
Yeah, Beast Boy and a Cyborg.
Man. God damn it, that would be so cool to see. That would be so because we've got Raven, we've got Nightwing, Dick Grayson, we've got Starfire.
I have a feeling that we will. I think the next casting that they will announce will likely be Beast Boy, or they may bring him on, a few episodes into the show, maybe halfway through the season, depending on. I don't think they've announced exactly how long the season's going to be, so I'm not 100% sure. But I think the Cyborg thing. I think that's going to be something that they're going to hold on to until very, very last minute.
I don't know, man.
And I think and once they announce it, I think it's going to maybe be a mystery, and we'll have to wait and see if it's Ray Fisher or not, and see if it's actually connected to the DCU. I don't think it's going to be because I don't think you're going to get Brenton Thwaites to play, Richard Grayson transitioning into Nightwing,
right,
and not have any mention of that. In the movies.
I agree with you 100%. Like you're probably right on how they're going to roll this out. But I would lead with that kind of stuff because this is what we're all chomping for. We want to see the traditional team, and I'm okay with them adding Hawk and Dove, but don't forget the original cast. Like Beast Boy and Cyborg are as much a part of that team as Nightwing, Robin, Starfire, and Raven. I don't know, man. I'm hoping to show the best, but right now I can't really support it.
Just in terms of specifically Hawk and Dove, what I like is that. Again, just like they were in that one episode of Justice League, the idea of these two characters, being so different and being at odds, I feel like is great for a one episode. I don't necessarily want them to be part of the team.
At odds the whole time. Yeah,
they're a little bit one note, which is fine. Which means it would make a super fun one episode that the next time you see them later in the season or next season is like, I love these two.
Yeah.
And if you're making them the Minka Kelly, Alan Ritchson male-female versions of the characters, the Hank Hall and Dawn Granger. I think that's great too, and maybe they would be so fun and have enough chemistry to maybe spin them off into a thing. But I like the idea that they're just like a guest star potential, which means it could open it up to other DC characters,
right? Hopefully,
guest stars. So that's exciting too. But
and again, I love the fact that they're going with more obscure characters. I think very easily they could have brought in characters that are maybe better known in the DC.
They'd have the words Super, Bat, or Wonder in their title. Like, we got Wonder Girl, we got Wonder Woman, we got Batwoman.
I'd even be okay with Aqualad.
Yeah.
Give me an Aqualad in there.
Oh, yeah. Especially
that would
the
be
version
cool.
from Young Justice.
Yeah, that's Young Justice.
Right? Really popular version.
Yeah, exactly. That's popular. I would be okay if they maybe got rid of these two and put in an Aqualad.
Sure.
And then maybe one more oddball choice.
I mean, who knows? If this show is very successful and people really like it, this show could even evolve into Young Justice.
Yeah.
You could bring in Superboy.
It really could.
You could bring in Aqualad.
Yeah.
And it could feel like a very natural evolution because they're sort of getting older. They're maturing into their roles.
We're going to watch them age because, that's
rewatch
what happens.
Young Justice before season 3 comes out. I've been itching to do that.
I really need to revisit all that.
I just revisited Legend of Korra. Finished it off. So I've got to bring that in. Hey, bring in Get Out and I'll bring in
That's right.
season 4.
Okay, I'll bring that
Korra,
next week.
Next time. But
Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. But I definitely have been wanting to do another Young Justice.
You two are
watch. I love Young Justice.
Yeah. I definitely need to get through that. You've gone through it, right, Adam?
What, Young Justice?
Yeah.
I need to get through season 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Loved season 1. So good. So excited.
Absolutely.
Guys, that's going to wrap it up for us on this week's episode of Hyper Heroes.
Good one.
Covered a whole lot of good stuff. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about everything that we covered. How do you feel about the Star Wars shakeup? How do you feel about these directing choices for X-Force and for Suicide Squad 2? And are you looking forward to Hawk and Dove? I'm still optimistic about it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it in the comments.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're following us right here, youtube.com/hyperrpg for weekly videos. Check out our Inhumans review. We got some more stuff coming. We're going to do a review of Terminator 2 3D. We're also going to do a review
Wait, we are?
Yeah.
I saw that.
Oh, you did? Well, too bad you weren't here when we shot it.
Shit.
Oh.
Well, here's my quick review. It was dope.
It was dope.
It was good.
Yeah, it was good. Okay,
It was good. It was
Good
good.
3.
We're also going to do reviews of it, and of course on Twitch, twitch.tv/hyperrpg. We're doing live programming every single day, every single week. We've got RPG shows, Valiant Comics RPG, Star Wars RPG, a whole lot of good stuff. So make sure you guys check it out. Hector, where can everybody find you on the internet?
On the internet at Hector is funny, and I love you very much. Augustine?
At L_Santo Chaco.
I'm just at Adam Havoc on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching. May the force be with you.
Hector's drunk.